They left your message on read 3 days ago, but this morning your story had one view within 60 seconds of you posting it, and you knew exactly whose it was. You didn't even have to check. That's the part that gets you. Not the silence. The silence you could almost make peace with. It's the fact that the silence and the watching exist at the same time, in the same person, without any explanation, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you keep coming back to one question. If I don't exist enough to get a reply, why do I exist enough to be watched? Most people land on the easy answer. Games, ego, immaturity, someone stringing you along because it makes them feel good. And maybe, sometimes, but there are people doing this who couldn't even explain it if you asked them directly. They'd stumble, look uncomfortable, because what they're doing doesn't fully make sense to them either. That's what makes this so disorienting. You're not dealing with someone who has a clear plan. You're dealing with someone who's caught in something, a push and pull inside themselves that plays out at your expense without them even fully realizing it. Here's something worth thinking about. Ignoring someone is a choice. Every time a message arrives and someone decides not to respond, that's a decision they made. It takes energy to maintain silence towards someone you're aware of. And then to turn around and watch everything they post, that's a second choice. A different kind of attention. Quiet, careful, deliberate. Those two things living together in one person, that's not nothing. That's actually a very specific psychological state. Psychologists who study avoidant attachment have described something like this, where someone simultaneously pulls away from direct contact while maintaining what you might call emotional surveillance. They can't fully let go, but they also can't fully engage, so they hover in the background, where it's safer. The watching becomes the compromise their nervous system settles on. Imagine you still think about someone, more than you want to, more than you'd ever admit out loud. But reaching out feels like standing at the edge of something you're not sure you can handle. What if they don't respond the way you hoped? What if they moved on? What if you say something and it goes wrong again? So you don't say anything, but you also can't look away. You check, not constantly, but enough. You watch a story here, notice a post there, and somehow that feels manageable in a way that a conversation doesn't. One explanation for this might be what some psychologists describe as approach avoidance conflict, where a person is genuinely drawn to something but simultaneously fears what engaging with it might cost them. The result isn't indifference. It's paralysis dressed up as distance. They want you close. They're just terrified of what close actually requires. But something else is happening too. Watching gives a person something that reaching out doesn't. Information without exposure. When you watch someone's story, you learn things. Where they've been, how they seem, whether they look like they're doing well or whether they look like they're still carrying something. You get to know without having to ask. You get to care without having to admit it. There's no risk in watching, no vulnerability, no possibility of rejection. And for someone who has tied their sense of safety to staying emotionally unexposed, that matters more than most people realize. This isn't about power over you, even when it feels like it is. Most of the time, it's about the only kind of power they feel like they have, the power to stay informed while staying protected. Here's the part that stings a little. A lot of the watching is about reassurance. Not necessarily reassurance that you still want them, though sometimes that too. It's more about needing to know you're still there, still present, still somewhere in the same emotional orbit, even if nothing has been said in weeks. Your life, visible through a screen, gives them something to hold on to without having to hold on to you directly. And the cruel twist? The moment you genuinely disappear, the moment you stop being visible, stop posting, stop being somewhere they can quietly track. That's usually when something shifts, when the message finally comes, when they suddenly resurface as if no time has passed. Not because you played a game, because the watching stopped working. You are not imagining this. The confusion you feel, the specific exhaustion of being seen but not acknowledged, noticed but not chosen, that's real. And it makes sense that it wears on you because it's genuinely contradictory. Your brain keeps trying to resolve something that has no clean resolution. But here's what's worth sitting with. Someone watching your life from a safe distance hasn't earned a place in it. And you were never meant to live your life as content for someone else's unresolved feelings. The question isn't really why they do it. The question is, what would your life look like if you stopped wondering whether they were watching? Some people will stay in that watching position for a long time, not because they were cruel, because they're stuck. And you cannot unstick someone by being more visible, more available, more worth watching. You can only decide how much of your energy goes towards someone who's chosen observation over honesty. That's not a small decision, but it might be the most important one. Have you ever been in this exact situation where someone's silence and their attention existed at the same time? Tell us in the comments. More people understand this than you'd think. If this helped you understand yourself or someone you love, subscribe for more psychology-based videos.